This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves in overanalyzing a topic, and we are brought to you by Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/thegorge. If you donate to us, you help our cause to allow us to stream bad games more, and give us our full analysis. Currently in the works, we are setting up for Yick. And that'll be coming soon, and if you want to see more like that, you can donate to that, and that'll help us out. In the meantime, though, what are we talking about this week?
This week we're not talking about a bad video game, we're talking about a good video game, because we're talking about Observation for the PS4 and the PC, actually. Didn't realize it was on PS4.
I did
Can't
not realize
imagine what a tedium playing this game without a mouse and keyboard would be. Cannot imagine. So, yeah. Observation from the people who brought Stories Untold, a game I really, really liked until I didn't. Well, surprise, they got it right this time.
It's very funny because, yeah, when we were done, if you guys remember, when we were done recording Stories Untold, we were both like, boy, I really hope this studio makes another game, and I hope they don't pull the same ending they do for this one, and I hope they actually stick with their weird, esoteric sci-fi horror concept. And then when we finished recording, when we hit stop and we were just like kind of shooting the shit afterward, we both checked Twitter, and lo and behold, there was an announcement for this game.
No Code, which is the developer, was like, hey, here's the trailer for our new video game. It comes out in like 2 weeks. And we were both like, wow, I'm magic. I have the ability to speak things into existence, so don't fuck with me. And you know what? By God, they actually stuck the landing. They were like, let's make a weird, creepy, sci-fi horror game about fucked up aliens, and boy howdy did they. And my life is a richer experience for it, because I really, really liked Observation a lot.
It was this is a very, very interesting game. That feels a lot like, the way I put it in my notes is that this game feels a lot like 2001: A Space Odyssey, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the developers had directly said they were extremely influenced by that.
Right up until it becomes a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah. So more interesting fun facts about this game is that the art director and I think 2 other people previously worked on, before leaving and moving to No Code, they worked on Alien Isolation, aka the really good Alien video game. And they moved on to make another space horror game, and yeah, they did a great job. It definitely is like a bizarre Twilight Zone episode of just weirdly moving by the end of it. Maybe it was just because I had become so invested in Emma and Sam.
Yeah.
That by the end of it, I was like, oh, I'm kind of touched, even if it is fucking weird.
Yeah. It does this thing where, like, God, I don't know exactly how to describe, because it's not quite a horror game. Like it starts off as a horror game, and then it kind of leans more into being a weird sci-fi experience. Like it's not so much horror, because there's not really a lot of, there's a few, but there's like the jump scares that are in the game are not really more meant to like traumatize you.
They're more meant to just be unnerving. I still remember the first time when you switch over to shoot, what are you trying to do? It's early in the game, and oh god, I think it's when you're trying to go to the astrophysics area. And you're trying to send out a signal, and you jump in, and as soon as you switch cameras, there's the hexagon just like waiting for you. And it's like the first like direct confrontation with the hexagon, and that moment is a big like, oh Jesus, Because it is extremely unnerving. It's one of those things you've said a lot where it's like, if you ever encountered a video game glitch in the real world, it would probably break your brain. Looking at the hexagon definitely had that vibe of like, I'm looking at something extremely unnatural. I love it.
You're looking at something that like you really shouldn't be looking at.
Yeah, it's a thing you shouldn't be able to see in the real world. And yet here we are. And it's just like staring you in the face, and it's getting closer, and it just sends like chills down your spine. I love it. It's got such a good atmosphere. This game is just so moody and atmospheric, and
ironic. Yeah. It's got a good atmosphere because it's set in space, and there's no atmosphere.
You're real fucking funny. Yeah.
So, before we get into like all of the stuff I really like about this, I do want to go over the stuff I don't like because I want to end this on a high note because it is a very good game.
Yeah, hit me.
But there are a few things that I didn't like and actually liked. This game made me appreciate Stories Untold a bit more.
Really?
Not more than this game. I still like this. I still liked Observation more in general. But there were a few things that I'm like, oh, you know what? This was done a bit better in Stories Untold. And a lot of it is first the interface and navigation, like actually navigating around the space station.
Yeah.
It's
a little confusing, I guess.
Yeah. Because you're in an area with zero gravity, there is no sense of up and down. And the map is not quite clear, like where exactly the entrances and exits are.
Yeah.
Everything kind of looks the same.
Right.
And so when it's like meet me in UN7, and you're like, okay,
where?
How do I get there?
How do I get there? Yeah. I guess I get it in a way because it definitely contributes to this feeling of, like you feel like you're going crazy because you're in like these repeating rooms and narrow halls, and your orientation is all fucked up. So like I got it. It's all part of the mindfuck, but also sometimes getting around is a huge nightmare.
It's especially in the two spacewalk sections.
Oh god, the spacewalks are the worst. Yeah.
The first spacewalk, I finished up my task, and Emma's like, "Okay, return to the ship," and I'm like, "I don't know where the exit is. I don't know where the entrance that I came in from was."
Yeah.
And so like I flew around for a good like 10 minutes, like where did I come from? I do
wish certain things had been like signposted better with like lights and whatnot. Even just a few, the old Valve tricks,
You're a robot. You're playing an AI robot.
Yeah, give him a HUD.
Put a marker on the screen.
Yeah, just
put a marker.
You can make waypoints, but they don't really help.
No, they don't.
Yeah, because it still doesn't really help with the disorientation of the sameness of environments. It definitely would have been nice to have just like a standard. I mean, they're obviously part of these games, I'm understanding, and what gives them their appeal is the interacting with unfamiliar technology. Either you're interacting with tech from the 80s, or you're interacting with future tech that is kind of analogous to our own, but is just advanced enough that you're still kind of like, flipping through manuals and stuff, being like, oh god, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's the thing I really, really, really liked about Stories Untold was that, yeah, you were like, okay, hey, give me the number code for this station. Here's the password. Now go march that up. And it's like, you really feel like you're like,
yeah, you're actually doing sleuthing, I guess.
Wait, I got the number, and then it matches up with this. And that code word means I type in this string, and you get that like first day on the job thing. Yeah. And I think that's really good. And I kind of wish that Observation had done that a little bit more. I think the actual like interaction as Sam that you have with the game world is not as expanded on as it was in Stories Untold. In Stories Untold, you are doing a fucking text adventure, and then you're doing a operation, and then you're doing these number station codes, and it's all very different and varied. And then in observation, you're kind of doing the same kind of pathing and gateway stuff repeatedly, and it's good because there's like a bit of challenge in these puzzles, and like you said, like the interacting with unfamiliar technology, but it's like I feel like I wasn't really ever quite integrated with the system, I guess.
I think part of it is that you are playing a computer and you would expect it to be a bit more. I mean, part of it is also that Sam has had his memory wiped, so he doesn't have the experience that others that like he would normally have. But even then, once Sam kind of ascends, you're still occasionally fussing with stuff inside of the computer. And so it definitely feels like this all would have made more sense if you were playing a person, but because you're playing as an AI, sometimes the degree of like rooting around through like looking through notebooks and stuff like that, trying to find a Post-it on the wall. A really good one was although I did like this one, I was trying to find a passcode for I think the Russians' computer. It was the captain's computer. And I was like, where the fuck is this passcode? And I swapped cameras, and literally right in front of my face was the Post-it note with the passcode like stuck on the back of his computer. And I was like, I love it. I don't know. I love stuff. I'm such a sucker for stuff like that.
I do love that. I do love when a game does that, where it's like you don't pick up a note and add a note to your inventory that has a password. Yeah. You look at a wall and it's scrawled on there. Or
any game that makes me write things down, man. Yeah. No matter what. I love it. So.
Yeah, there were parts where I was literally taking screenshots of the game with my phone.
Oh yeah.
So absolutely. That I could like quick reference it because I didn't want to flip back and forth between pages of stuff.
Yeah, it rules.
But like, I guess the way I would put it in general, that I think that Stories Untold does a little bit better than Observation, is that there were a lot of sections in Observation that were not interactive, and I feel like they could have been. Yeah. Even something as simple as just being able to look around the environment, even if like, because there's bits where Sam is helpless or like confined to a camera or something. Yeah. Being able to still move the camera around at least gives a really good sense of controlled helplessness.
Yeah, like you still can like look around with your eyes, but your body is totally helpless.
Yeah, that gives a good sense of tension and heightens the drama, as opposed to, no, this is a cutscene now.
Yeah, you're basically the camera for a cutscene. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, we're not going to go into spoilers just yet, but I like the bits at the end. Yeah. Because you are kind of like a broken thing at that point, and I like that stuff. But yeah, I think my biggest problem, I get all of your complaints, but I guess they didn't bother me as much. My biggest problem, though, was definitely navigating the station, because I get lost easily, and I'm extremely dumb. This is the first game. I cannot imagine playing this game in VR, because this is the first game in my life I actually got shades of motion sickness playing. Really? Yeah, I actually started to feel a little sick at a few places and had to like walk away from the computer and come back to it. And the only thing that kept me from getting any kind of sense of like disorientate, I guess, or vertigo is a better term, is I would have to make sure the horizon line was perfectly straight. Like the perceived horizon line. If the room was canted off in any particular, like my yaw was off, I guess is what you would say. If the room was like the walls were crooked and stuff like that, I could instantly just feel like my brain starting to like throb inside my skull, because it's such a disconnect from what my head is used to. Generally speaking, just as like a quick overview, the reason most people get sick oops, sorry, I have dice on my desk. The reason why most people get motion sickness in VR is because there is a disconnect between what you are seeing and what your body is experiencing, and it fucks up with your inner ear. And so what you're seeing is like you're moving and you're running and you're in a car and blah blah blah, but your body isn't moving at all. And it creates a sense of being separate, and it really throws your body off kilter, and as a result, you get motion sickness. It's a pretty prevalent thing. I think like the numbers are either 40 to 60% of people get motion sickness playing VR. And I guess I had the same experience while playing Observation, because there are a few points where you are just tumbling along, and I am like, ooh.
That's surprising, because now that you mentioned that, I get motion sickness very easily. I cannot read a sentence in a car without getting motion sickness.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. I've never gotten motion sickness in a car in my life.
I can ride planes fine, and I can ride trains fine, but if I'm in a car and I even like look at my phone for like 10 seconds,
really,
I will start feeling nauseous.
Huh.
And I've never tried VR, and I've never gotten motion sickness while playing a game, but now that you mention that, it does make a lot of sense that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I didn't get it playing this game, but I can totally see why you would.
It was so like
the fact that there is not a button to
auto-write yourself,
like autocorrect. And now that I think about this, I had the same issue with the navigation and with no sense of like perspective. Playing Dusk when you did the underwater sections.
Oh yeah, because no like weight.
Yeah, there's no sense of righting yourself or correcting your position. There were bits in Dusk, I'm thinking back now, where I spent underwater and I thought, oh wow, look at this cool level geometry that kind of looks like an upside down temple. And I was like, wait. No, I'm upside down.
Yeah. I got that bad with Observation, where I didn't know. And I guess that's the thing about being in space, is that there is technically no concept of up and down. Especially if you're just a little iBot just trundling along in the hallways, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So you really have no sense of up and down. And again, my problem is that it's one of those things we kind of talked about with Nier Automata, where it's like, if you have a problem with the game, but it was very obviously intended, is that bad? Like, I think all of the problems I have with Observation, and the ones you've even mentioned, are problems that are intentional.
Yeah, and I guess the answer to that question is, does knowing that it's in, like, it's kind of it's a case-by-case basis, which is, does that intentional flaw, does understanding that it's intentional help your immersion with it, or does it still hinder it?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Silent Hill is a good example, where it's like the point is that you are very slow and you have no attack ability. Well, to some people that is a flaw, because, hey, I know the point is the game controls bad, but the game controls bad.
Right, yeah, exactly. And the point is that the observation station is cramped and hard to navigate and makes you claustrophobic, and everything looks the same. But also those flaws are all still there, and it's a matter of, are you willing to accept that as being part of the game design or not?
And those flaws are present in a real-life space station.
Yeah,
it's realistic that way. There is no artificial gravity in this game. Like, there's no, there aren't any, like, brightly colored workstations that you can use to navigate, because that's not how it would be on a real space station of this caliber.
Right.
And I think that's really great, actually. Because that makes the sci-fi parts that much more alien would be the best word for it, you know?
Yeah, I think definitely part of what, I guess, and I don't know if this is No Code's like design ethos or just something they like to explore. I don't know if it's like their MO or not, but I feel like part of their development process is to, as accurately as possible, represent the interaction with unfamiliar technology. Either it's like stuff that, as I said before, is too old for you and I to have ever really interacted with. I've never touched an old, I think it's a ZX Spectrum. I've never interacted like an old ZX Spectrum, and obviously we've never, had our hands on with space tech. And
of course
so
not.
I feel like part of that is just the way they make games is they want to kind of meticulously recreate the feeling of interacting with strange technology. So, I mean, part of it is kind of a sense that to kind of push you there in that place and really get you immersed. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot lately, and everybody likes to say immersive and blah, blah, blah. But, it is a way to kind of get you more immersed into the space, is to make it kind of obtuse. And it's just a matter of if it jives with you or not. And some of it jived with me and some of it didn't. I do really, really wish Sam had a button that would write me.
Yeah, I think that those are the two biggest flaws I have with it. The navigation is difficult. Really, the navigation issue would have just been fixed with a waypoint. Just put a marker on my HUD that's like, Sam needs to go in this direction, and then that's fine.
Right.
I don't need it to be big and glowing and like objective here. Just like a little square.
Arrow. Yeah, like a little
something.
Triangle, kind of something, like being like, you need to kind of try and, even if it's not like a direct point by point, you know how you can set up point by point waypoints in Horizon? Even if it's not one of those, even if it's just kind of like, you need to go in this general direction.
Yeah, it's because it's not like it's not like a Fallout experience where it's like, here's this open world, here's where you need to go, and there's a mountain in your way.
Yeah.
It's all hallways. It's all straight line hallways, and if it's like, oh, I need to go here, you're not going to be like, I have to go around this wall, so I have to go to this station and then go backwards through here and go through this exit and all the way around. You know, like when you're navigating an environment in like a factory in Fallout 4, and it's 5 meters away, but there's just like a thin plywood wall in front of you, and you're like, or
it's 5 meters away, but those 5 meters are directly below you.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck?
Where the fuck is it?
Where are the goddamn stairs? Like, no, it'd be easier if it's just like, here it is. It's this direction.
Yeah.
And you don't even need like distance, just,
or even not even a waypoint. Honestly, if I could, like, that button that could write Sam could also just kind of like turn him in the right direction.
Yeah,
that's literally all it needs. Like, let me click R3 or whatever the equivalent on like a keyboard would be to like write myself and then turn my head in the way I need to go. That's it. I don't need any other fancy stuff. I need the room to not be crooked.
Yeah. That's basically it.
I need the room to stop being crooked right now, thank you.
And the other thing, like I said, is that like I want more puzzles. I want more hacking mini games and data entry stuff and what have you.
Yes.
Just like what ones we got were good, but I'm like, I didn't feel challenged enough, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like trying to think of a way that they could, without making it too obtuse or too like you feel like you're just digging around for clues. I don't know. Clue hunting is fun though, so I'm not sure what the midway point there is. For the most part, I was pretty happy with all of the clue doing of observation, all of the puzzling of observation. I was pretty good with it. I do think the nodes, like when you had to like unlock a door or lock a door to do the little node thing on the grid, I thought that was kind of a drag. That never really was interesting to me because it's just like making sure everything I don't know. Didn't feel very kinetic or fun, whereas everything else felt pretty good. So that's like my singular, like, real big gripe, because I feel like I had to do it a lot too.
Yeah, there was a lot of that's the thing, is like there was a lot of doing the same thing, unlike in Stories Untold, where you're doing a different mechanic all the time.
Yeah, I think that's if it had been more varied, it would have definitely clicked better.
Yeah.
That being said, it clicked extremely hard because I still really, really like Observation a lot. I'm mostly just really jazzed about, like, how they were like, yeah, let's actually go weird this time.
Yeah, let's commit to the story. And yeah, like, all the things I'm saying is, like, it's just my personal, like, as a video game, I want more video game part.
In my video game.
Do the video game, though. I want that.
Where's the video game at? Yeah, but when the video game is cracking and everything's popping off and there's a lot of tension, it's like, yeah, I think I like this video game because I really like this video game a lot. I'm really excited for the next project because I was the tone of Observation is so good, but I love me a good space horror story.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish Dead Space hadn't died. That was actually one of the things I was thinking, like, super hard the whole time I was playing. Well, I was thinking of two things. One, I was thinking, man, I wish Dead Space hadn't died. And two, I was thinking, boy, Arrival was a good movie. Those are the two things I'm thinking the whole time. It's kind of like if those two things had converged.
I was thinking the first one a lot. I was thinking, boy, Dead Space 1 was a good video game.
Dead Space 2 was a good video game.
Yeah. Boy, that's always I think that's like a thing you only get with video games, where it's like you'll be playing one game and you'll see a familiar thing and you're like, boy, that game was really good, wasn't it?
That was a good video game. And it's not like the thing that, like they say on MST3K a lot, where it's like, don't make me think of a better movie when I'm playing, like when I'm watching your bad movie. This is more so just like a thing in a good video game will make me think of another good video game. And I'm like, I wish I had the time to play two good video games right now. Because I would really like to replay Dead Space 2, honestly. Because I enjoyed it a lot. And Dead Space 3 was bad and ended on a weird cliffhanger. But still, if Dead Space had been allowed to continue and, like, become a horror franchise again, I mean, spoilers for Dead Space 3. It's DLC of all things, but it ends on, like, it turns out the moon, like, every moon in the solar system is sentient, and they're gonna come eat Earth. And I'm like, that's cool. I like weird moon shit. And then they killed that studio.
They didn't, because in Dead Space 3 you have to shoot humans.
Oh god, don't remind me. Dead Space 3 has fucking, you know how, like survival, like spooky horror games, the major thread of, like, tension is, if it's like a shooter horror, it's that you have to conserve ammo and you have to be smart with your ammo. Dead Space 3 has universal ammo.
So there's no threat, and he's wearing a jacket in this one, and he has to shoot army guys in action set pieces.
Also, it's co-op. The whole game is co-op. Because that's what my horror game needs, is Gears of War influences, you know. They did Dead Space dirty, didn't they?
And then that studio got shut down because they were gonna make a good Star Wars game, but they said no. Instead, we made Battlefield 2.
Oh, man. Fuck EA. It's been a while since we've said that here on this podcast, but fuck EA, man.
It was like 3 weeks ago. We did our E3 episode.
Well, you know what? That's still too long. 3 weeks without me going fuck EA is too long, because now I'm remembering how dirty they did Dead Space, and we got to change the subject back to Observation.
Okay.
Although slightly also about Arrival, because if you haven't seen Arrival is a good-ass movie, and it kind of takes this same concept of, like, a lady meets an alien, and, like, weird shit happens, except Arrival is kind of like, it's not a horror, it's like a drama, but it's like a sci-fi drama suspense story. It's really good. Like, I can't possibly recommend Arrival to people enough. It was just extremely moving, and it is also about interacting with, like, with aliens that are kind of vast and unknowable and exist on another plane than us, and yeah. And actually, they also have 6 things, because they're called the heptapods. Hey, wait a second.
Hey!
Hey!
Did you take influence from movies when you made this game?
When you made this cinematic video game? No code, I see you.
No code, do you like Stanley Kubrick? Have you been watching Stanley Kubrick films?
Again, shame, no code. They're just like, what if we made the Twilight Zone? And now they're like, but what if we made 2001, but not? It's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like I said, I really liked Arrival, so that's okay. Yeah, no, this video game is good because it's boy, I just really like the weirdness of it sometimes. The fact that they don't. I guess we should start saying spoilers.
Let's dive into spoilers, because it's getting very hard to not talk about spoilers because there's not much to this game besides spoilers.
Yeah, after a certain point, it's like after the first 30 minutes, you're just like, oh, the whole game is a spoiler. Okay, so we're 30 minutes into the podcast, so. Generally speaking, yeah, you should play Observation. I mean, we have our gripes, but you should definitely play Observation, because I think it's an extremely good video game, and it's well worth your time, and I think No Code makes good video games, and you should play them, so yeah.
No, I think basically my stance is that No Code deserves to keep making these kinds of games.
Absolutely.
Because these kinds of games don't really exist in this quality like anywhere else.
Yeah.
No one else is doing the compilation concept like this.
What another anthology game, No Code. So, alright, spoiler time.
Yeah, spoilers. Alright, I'm gonna say that, like, the thing that made me realize this was not a horror game after all, was near the very end, which is, after you kill, Jim.
Yeah.
And you go to rescue Emma.
Yes.
And I was like, she's gonna take off her helmet and her face is gonna be gone, or it's gonna be like a weird thing, or she's gonna be like a zombie.
She's gonna be infected.
She's gonna took her helmet off and she was fine. And I'm like, oh, this isn't a horror game anymore. Okay.
It's like a weird,
it's a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah. And
but
it's all about.
But it's not horror because she wasn't scary, and they had to set up for it to be scary, and then it wasn't scary.
And it's kind of eerie. But it's never,
I guess
like...
it's more... Yeah. It's definitely unsettling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely love... God, I love the ending so much. The ending is so good. I'm sure some people will be like, but they didn't explain anything. You don't need to explain anything. Don't explain it.
Okay. So there's a few thoughts I had while playing this.
Oh, yeah, hit me.
So, they gave us enough information to have it, like, to fill us in on what we needed to know.
Right.
Without treating us like we're idiots.
Yes.
But also, they didn't cut out to make it unsatisfying. Yeah. Like, I was thinking, like, okay, we're gonna get into the storm on Saturn, and then it's gonna go to credits. Or, okay, we're gonna see the big hectagon, right? Yeah, hecta 6.
Hexagon.
Hexagon is 6.
Yeah, I know. I just threw you off by saying they're called the heptapods in Arrival, but it's the hexagon in Observation.
Heptagon is 5 and hexagon is 6.
No.
Okay.
Penta is 5. Hexa.
Okay, Penta's 5. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's okay.
Anyway, the point is, Emma's gonna float up into the hexagon, and then it's gonna go to credits.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They gave us just a little bit more to be like, well, here's why they did it, or what they were intending.
Yes.
And then, but it's not like, here's what the aliens are, or you never meet an alien. You just see their message, you see their beacon. They don't explain how they were pulling all these different realities to converge, but they were doing it, and they needed someone to be the first to bring everyone else in.
Yes. So they do kind of explain how all of these things are, like, all of the different stations are getting there, because they set up that, like, scientists back on Earth got a signal that said, be at this spot near the Earth at this time 4 years from now.
Our DNA is embedded in the stars.
Yeah, and it says bring her, so you gotta bring a lady. You can't just bring anybody, you gotta bring a lady.
And that's so cool.
That's very cool.
Our genetic code is built into the universe.
Yes, it's so good. And it's so just like, hey, it's so specific that it's like, this is not a thing you can ignore. It's not like a thing that is like a maybe. It's definitely, it's a real thing that's happening. It can't be a coincidence, because like Sam says, the possibilities of that are basically non-existent. So you gotta go check it out. And so all of these different scientists across the various parallel universes where everything kind of is the same, but not really. They all build the space station, and they all go to this point, and they each reach the point at slightly different times because of different reasons, and they're all pulled into the event, and that event takes them to the same spot above Saturn. And it's just that our Emma and Sam are the first, well, not the first, they're the first ones to survive, because other Emmas and Sams reach the storm, but they don't live to, like, make it to the end.
Yeah, ours is the one that arrived on time and did all of the minute details right.
Yes. Yeah.
All the other ones, because you go to the other one and it's like, oh, the other gym killed Emma for one reason or another, and like the other state, like, you see a bunch of Emma corpses when you get to the planet. You get to the surface of whatever it is, the surface of Saturn, which is like weird because
I think Saturn technically does supposed to have like a bit of land underneath all that gas, but I'm not sure. I mean, it could be the surface of Saturn, or maybe they were teleported somewhere else. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the idea is that, like, oh, that storm is like a gateway. Like, you didn't land on Saturn. Like, they're not saying you landed on Saturn. They're saying that thing brought you somewhere else.
Right, and maybe it brought you to the surface of Saturn, or maybe it took you to some other planet. Who the hell knows? But this Emma and this Sam were the first ones to do it right. A few others made it to the surface. Most of the others died up in space. But this Emma and this Sam got it right. And because of the way parallel universes work, as soon as one Emma and Sam get it right, an infinite number of Emmas and Sams get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how parallel dimensions work.
Boy, that long tracking shot, like 2/3 of the way through the game, where the camera just pans out, and it's like,
just showing all the different stations coming into view.
There's a third one, there's a fourth, there's a fifth.
I think there's like 9 on screen.
Yeah, like
Sam blacks out.
It ends up being like 9 of them, and it's just like, oh fuck.
Oh, that's spooky. That's good. That's real good. You're suddenly realizing, like, oh man, this isn't just like it's not just these 2 space stations. Actually, the Cloverfield Paradox did that too, but like way worse. Don't watch the Cloverfield Paradox. You should never watch the Cloverfield Paradox. As much as I like Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane, you should never watch the Cloverfield Paradox. This is really bad. But it does a similar thing of hopping into another dimension and kind of becoming quantum entangled with your parallel versions of yourself. It's weird. It's not good, but you know, it's on Netflix. But it does the same thing. And it's like, oh, you think it's just these 2. And it's like when they were... It's like kind of like happens with the Cloverfield Paradox. When the weird teleportation thing happened at the beginning of the game, and you wake up over Saturn and you think like, oh, okay, well, one other version of the space station, either you became like parallel shifted, like what you were pulled into another dimension, or they were pulled into your dimension, or something happened, or maybe it split, who knows. But then you only think, oh, it's only these 2. No, it's all of them forever.
Yeah, it's an infinite number going on at the same time, and they're all converging on this point with varying levels of success.
Yes. And because, again, I love this, because of the way parallel dimensions work, they are both infinitely failing and infinitely succeeding.
And that's like...
It makes your brain hurt.
I love like trying to conceive the idea of everything. Because there's an infinite number succeeding and an infinite number failing.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean all of them are failing. Even though literally, like, every permutation is failing, but not all of them, because one of them succeeded, which means all of them succeeded too.
Yeah, I love that shot when, like, Emma takes Sam into her arms, and she's, you know, like, when they're both being lifted up to the hexagon, and she's holding Sam, and she's like, look, and you look up, and there's just, and, like, where there was one hexagon in the sky, now they just go on forever. And you're just like, it just clicked instantly. It's like, oh, because now the possibility exists for one Sam and Emma to make it, then any Sam and Emma can make it. And so now, like, an infinite number of them can exist. It's great. It's great. So good.
Parallel dimensions and alternate realities and the multiverse are so extremely my shit, the exact same way time travel is my shit.
Right?
I love your evil doppelganger. I fucking love, in this reality, it's an apocalypse, or in this reality, we've achieved nirvana, or any number of all that shit. That's why, like, Exile is one of my favorite comic runs ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is so good.
There is oh man, I have to link it onto Twitter after this. There's a really good sci-fi horror short I watched last year, and I know Observation was already in development before this happened, so I don't think they're cribbing from Observation, but it is also about the same idea. There's been an accident in space, and you don't know what's going on, but you might be in a parallel universe. And that's all I'll say, because I don't want to spoil anything else, because I want to link to it on Twitter. But it's the same concept. I think it's just because, like, as the notion of parallel universes becomes more of an accepted concept in, like, the general pop culture kind of zeitgeist. That's too fancy of a word, but I'm going to use it anyway. So I'm going to say the word zeitgeist unironically on a podcast. As, like, people become more aware of the concepts of parallel universes in general, we start to see more media about it because people can wrap their brains around it more, you know? So I don't think any of these, because Arrival has, like, kind of a weird, Ben, really, you need to watch Arrival, because it is, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you just said, hey, there's a bunch of stuff that's my shit, and I'm not going to say that it's all there, but it might all be there.
I'll see if it's on Netflix, because it does sound good.
So good. But yeah.
But, like, speaking of the cultures, like, or were you... Did you have anything else, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Just this idea that I don't think any of these media are stealing from each other. I just think that it's become more of a common idea now, and that's why we're seeing more stories about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, this is becoming the new, like, you know, when like Star Wars made space popular. Like, it's just now it's it's becoming more of just like a standard sci-fi story, you know? Like,
yeah. Okay. That's literally all I wanted to say. I didn't want to, like, sound like I'm accusing Observation of stealing from anybody. I just think that these are concepts that are interesting to a lot of people, and so a lot of people want to explore them.
And that's the cool thing about sci-fi, is that, like, as technology and science develops, we find new, like, core story elements to use in science fiction, and you're not ripping them off. It's just that the genre is expanding to include all of these new things. Like, Black Mirror is just a carryover of the Twilight Zone and updating with modern technology, you know?
Yeah,
it's not a ripoff, it's just expanding on the genre. Much in the same way, and this has nothing to do with the parallel dimensions and stuff, but I got this thought, I had this thought when I was playing this reminded me a lot of a thing I read about comparing Gladys and Hal from Portal and 2001.
Yeah.
And the idea, and I can't remember what article it was or whatever, but it was because it was a long time ago. But the idea is that the twist in 2001 is that Hal, this voice you've been hearing this whole time, this human-sounding voice, is a robot. Yes. And back then, the idea of an artificial voice, of an AI, was inconceivable.
Yeah, of course.
It was a surprise that, oh, this thing that sounds like a person is a cold, unfeeling machine. Yeah. Flash forward to Portal and Gladys. In the mid 2000s, we had GPSs. We've had voicemail recognition. We've had phone systems. We've gotten used to robotic voices. Yeah. Which is why the twist in Portal is that this robot voice is sentient and human.
And hates you.
And can think and feel.
Yeah, and wants you dead. And for like really petty human reasons. Mm-hmm.
So it's this great inversion of what we've come to expect from the concept of the AI. And I think what makes Sam really cool is that he's a combination of both.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still with his own unique twist in that he is clearly echoing Hal. He is an AI aboard a space station that has a very calming robotic voice. Mm-hmm. And he immediately starts showing signs of sentience and emotion, like Gladys. Mm-hmm. But he's on Emma's side.
Oh, yeah. The big twist of Observation is that Observation might be a love story. Right? The twist of Observation is that Observation is the story of Sam falling in love with Emma, and then they get to actually be together at the end of the game. And you're just like, wait a fucking second.
Like, when the game starts, and it's Sam, AI, do AI things to help fix the ship, and your brain goes, I'm gonna blow this fucking ship up at some point. Yep. I'm gonna take over and I'm going to hurt people. And that's gonna be the twist. Or something like that. And then, no. The only time Sam overrides control and actively hurts another person is when that person is an asshole.
Now that person just tried to kill him and tried to kill Emma.
When he deserves it.
Yeah, Jim deserves it because that Jim has already killed a version of Emma. I think he's responsible for that version of Sam getting fucked up. He killed both, what's Emma's boyfriend's name? I want to say John, but I know it's not John.
Jane, no.
No.
God, I can't remember because some of
he's not in the game for very long.
I'll be honest, some of the crew in the ship are not characters.
They're not. They're just kind of exist to help further the plot.
They're
radio voices.
Yeah, they're BioShock tape recorders you pick up.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, we briefly meet, what is his name?
It's a J.
It's a J, because I kept getting Jim and this other guy.
Jake?
No.
Jake, Jack, John.
Hold on. I know that the other lady is named May.
Yeah, and you briefly meet her.
What is his name? Help! I don't want to just keep looking.
I'm looking it up now.
I feel like I don't want to just keep looking up things, and this is the worst kind of radio. But if I don't get this answer, I'm gonna lose my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why can't I find it? Is this guy really
Jim?
so...
No, not Jim.
Jim?
Jim is the one that deserves
He's
to
the asshole.
Die.
This guy is so unimportant that he doesn't even have a name on the Wikipedia entry for Observation. So, yeah. I guess we're gonna have to just let that one go. Yeah.
But yeah, the point is that, like, that's the only time that Sam actually...
Josh!
I
knew it was some really bland J name, and it just hit me. Anyways, Josh is unimportant. Josh is Emma's dead boyfriend, so... Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, he's the only time it actually quote unquote subverts the idea of the AI going rogue is when you do kill Jim. But you are not doing that because the AI is a psychopath. You're doing that because you are protecting Emma.
Yeah, you're killing him to go rescue Emma.
It's so like it's kind of like refreshing that way, is that we've come kind of full circle with the three like kind of major AI of this concept, you know? Mm-hmm. Also, I will say, like, as on a personal note, boy, fucking tattling on Jim was like the best, most petty thing in the world.
Satisfying.
When ground control is like, where's Jim? And you go to the dead Jim, and he's like, he's in here. Look, I look at the video feed. It's the dead guy that's Jim.
Look, there's a dead Jim and a live Jim, so maybe the Jims are crazy.
And they're like, what does this mean? And you're like, I don't know.
Who knows? And then they give you like full control over the ship, and you get to just own the shit out of Jim, and it's the best. It's like, yeah, vindication. How dare you try to kill me and Emma? You bastard. I mean, yeah, like, it is interesting, though, because, like you said, you know, the story we kind of come full circle, and we get to kind of cold AI who eventually learns to emote and acts like a people, because, I mean, if you think about it, who is programming AIs? It's people.
Right, yeah.
People make AIs, and wouldn't we want our AIs to, like, respond to us in a positive way? To have like some kind of emotional attachment. Yeah, it's like TARS and Interstellar. I have literally referenced about every single fucking like weird cosmic sci-fi movie in the last 20 years. Now that I'm thinking about it, I keep dropping movie references. Do you people know I actually watch movies too, not just play video games? That's right.
But no, I'm also thinking of Gaia in Horizon. The scene where she starts to actually question her ability to empathize, and like, you know, there's that moment of, you know, in any other thing it's like, oh no, the robot is feeling things, it's horrible. In this one, it's a celebration of, no, you're becoming more like us. You're relating more, and you're connecting.
You're gaining empathy, and that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of like Sam is gaining empathy, and he's learning to defend himself and realize that maybe he's like kind of a people in his own weird way, and that people wants to go save Emma and then go to fucking Saturn. And then, you know, and the interesting thing is that, like, technically, yes, you probably should read the ending of this game as like an ominous one, because they're kind of like weird be-tentacled alien invaders. But also, I mean, they're just saying, bring them. And like, it's like you could be bringing people to kind of reach like a weird enlightenment, the way that Sam and Emma have reached.
And that's why I say this goes from 2001 to the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Is that the ending of this game, like the setup to this game feels like 2001, you know?
Yeah.
That sort of existential, going beyond human capacity and understanding the nature of life and humanity and conflict.
Yeah.
But seriously, the way this game ends with Emma in a spacesuit landing back on Earth and fused with Sam with this AI, and being tasked with bringing them, like, I was half expecting Rod Serling to fucking walk out and like give a brief vague monologue about the nature of sharing information and the concept of unity and bonding, and like
step into the Twilight Zone.
It really, like, that ending really felt like it came from beyond the stars, like the 50s, like, cause can you imagine that black and white film of the monster is a spacesuit, and
absolutely,
the narration is like, it came from, an astronaut fell to space and fused with the robotic assistant that was programmed to help her.
Yeah, of course.
What is her mission, as you know, as she stumbles through society and stuff, and but it's like, you know, but you see it from the perspective of the quote unquote creature, and are they bringing a message of peace, of unity? What, like, of enlightenment.
Are they just trying to get revenge? Because, I mean, kind of technically humanity did, like, really fuck Emma and Sam over by, like, just kind of, like, chucking them into space and then not telling them why they were there. There's just like, yeah, go dump these two off into a black hole and see what happens. That's cool. So, I mean, you know, maybe they want revenge. Maybe they're trying to do something good. You get the sense that, like, they both feel like they are better now. They both feel like lighter and more alive and different and good. So it's like, maybe, I mean, it could just be an ominous thing, and it probably most people will read it as an ominous thing. But also because I had imprinted so heavily onto Sam and Emma by the end of this game, I was like, I mean, it could also be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw Arrival. Arrival is the best kind. All right. Arrival is an incredibly good alien movie because it's a space invasion movie, but there's no, like, actual invasion, and there's no violence, and it rules. Have I mentioned how good Arrival is? So, and maybe it's just that Arrival made such an impact on me that I'm more willing to read this as a positive alien interaction story.
And, you know, you do want to be able to root for your heroes.
I do. I'm rooting for my heroes because I think they were both, you know, the game is short, but you actually do get a pretty good sense of the fact that, like, the reason this Sam and this Emma survived is because, like, they both made it. Like, they could not, Emma can't understand the hexagons, like, it's weird languages, because she doesn't have a computer brain. She can't comprehend it. You know, we see Josh, after Sam dies on the other version of the ship, after Sam is taken offline, basically, and corrupted. Josh is inflicted with the bring her messages and the symbols instead, and it makes him a little crazy. And I think it even drives Jim a little crazy too, because they can't interpret it. They can't make sense of it because it is like digital information being forced into a meat brain. So Emma could not understand the hexagons, but Emma is a physical thing, and clearly the hexagons needed, like, a physical, like, meat body to implant into. So the only way this mission the hexagons had was going to succeed was if they both made it. So that's interesting. I think that's neat. It's like they need each other, and because of like that nature of, like, you keep seeing, like, them trying to, like, get back to each other. So there actually is, like, a development of, like, character development and relationship development in this pretty short little video game that actually makes them into fairly endearing people. And I really, really like that. As they talk more to each other, their command inputs become more or less like, Sam, do this, and Emma, how can I help you? And more like, what do you need?
There's this great little subtle thing with the dialogue I noticed where Emma will always refer to her as, like, us. Like, when she's radioing for help or she's trying to send a message, she always includes Sam in that message.
Yeah, even though Sam is like a computer.
Yeah, she, you know, when she's like, you know, we're heading into the storm. Sam and I are heading into the storm. Whereas, you know, Jim is, when he talks to ground control, he's like, I need to go home, take me home, get me out of here, you know?
Right.
And that's, you know, that is kind of what you would expect a person, like, you know, even if Jim wasn't an asshole, you still kind of would expect a normal person to say that. Like, even if there is, like, an onboard AI and you are in distress, you're not going to be like, wait, let me download the AI core before I get on the lifeboat.
Right, yeah,
you're gonna be like, sorry, fuck it, you're not a real person, I gotta go.
Yeah, of course, but that's that bond.
Yeah, but that's, hey, you know what this did better than
Are you about to say Detroit?
Detroit become human.
I knew it.
Boy, they really made me empathize with this robot more than they did with any other robot in Detroit.
And this robot doesn't even look like a people. Do you know how much like amusement I got out of this game. Just imagining, like, the little Sam I bought just puttering down these hallways.
So, like, this is a little personal thing for me.
Okay.
But so there are a few cutscenes where, like I said earlier, like, you know, there's a lot of, like, things that just turn into cutscenes and you have no control whatsoever.
Right.
But there are a few moments where it's like, oh, Emma's got to do a task, and, like, you can fly around while she's, like, doing it, or, like, while she's moving from station to station.
Mm-hmm.
I, like, would tend to, like, position Sam, like, over her shoulder.
Yes, like a cute little sidekick buddy.
Yeah, like a robot buddy would. And, like, looking over at the screen what she's doing. Like, you know, like you would kind of expect.
I love it. I love just the mental image of, like, you know, you're on a mission and you're just this little eyeball just puttering down these empty hallways, just like doo-doo-doo.
Like, speaking of GLaDOS, you are a personality core.
You kind of are just a personality core. You are the space personality core, because you're in space. That's it. I love it. It's so good. I got just endless. And anytime, like, you jump from the iBot to the... Oh, yeah, Fallout iBots. Anytime you jump from, like, the iBot to, like, the cameras and you just see, like, the little iBot body lying around, I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy! So, yeah. I think that just kind of speaks to, like, people's ability. Again, a thing that Detroit Become Human did not comprehend is people's ability to just imprint just so powerfully onto anything that even kind of has, like, vaguely googly eyes, much less human-shaped, you know? Like, if you put a robot voice in, like, a cute, like, round orb...
If they made a Roomba that talked, it'd be over.
Oh, we actually... God, of all the episodes for us to do this, literally today we put googly eyes on the Roomba at my office. For real. We bought giant googly eyes and we stuck it on our Roomba at my office. And he has a name. His name is Bob. And we named it. Yeah, we spent a good 5 minutes going, oh, it's so cute.
You turned your Roomba into a Banjo-Kazooie character.
With his googly eyeballs, yeah.
I can just imagine it making, like, a little bunch of, like, weird whirring noises, and you have to collect the dust bunnies for it. And
yeah,
you get a
exactly.
Jiggy.
Yeah, we turned Bob into like our office pet because we're not allowed to have any real ones. And that's what I'm saying, man. People will imprint on anything. I spent 5 minutes today going, "Oh, our Roomba's so cute."
if they made a Roomba, if they updated Roomba so that it said, like, room clean or, like, surface clean,
yeah,
it'd be over. We'd be done. Like,
We'd be done.
They'd have to program it to respond to "Thank you, Roomba," because we would say it every time.
I mean, people thank Siri all the time,
right?
Yeah. I mean, lots of people thank Siri, and
it feels wrong not to.
They thank Google. You know, you can do, like, OK Google on, like, Android phones and stuff, and people thank Google. I know people thank Google. People probably thank Cortana on, like, Xboxes and Xbox 10. Or not Xbox 10, Jesus, Windows 10. You know? Yeah. You would have to make your Roomba respond to thank you. Because, yeah, I would probably, even if it did, like, R2-D2 chirps at me, I would probably routinely thank my Roomba. Yeah. Because people are just like that. We tend to imprint on, we'll imprint on anything. We'll imprint on robots, we'll imprint on animals, you know. We're not so good at imprinting on other people, though.
Yeah, but, you know, baby steps.
Baby steps. You know how it is. But it is interesting. And so, yeah, I got a lot of enjoyment out of just the mental image of Sam on a mission, just puttering down these empty hallways of the observation station.
And it ended up paying off. Like, the imprinting ended up paying off because, boy, not only, like, the revenge felt really great when you are deactivated and you scrape together enough of your AI to possess the spheres again.
Yes.
And try to sneak around and get to where you need to go.
And you're like, God! And the fact that, like, the Russian guy gave, like, this iBot, like a powerful little jet boost.
Yeah.
So I'm just, like, imagining just like conk against, like, walls and stuff. I love it! I was so immediately endeared. I was just like, I was so rooting for, like, man, by the end of it, all you do is root for Sam and Emma to just, like, make it out alive. Or at least to get some revenge if you think Emma's dead.
Yeah.
You know? You're like, oh no, you killed my friend. I'm gonna kill the shit out of you. And you tried to kill me! Yeah. Yeah. I really like Observation. I don't know. It's like, I like Stories Untold a lot, but if you actually give me, like, a character to empathize with, it's incredible how much further that will take you. Because, yeah, I enjoyed Observation just a lot.
It was
Flaws
great.
And all. Flaws and all.
So there are a few other minor things.
Oh, yeah, hit me.
Boy, when you are in that, like when the camera goes to, like, analog mode and you get the kind of, like, CRTV filter over it, boy, this game looks, like, photorealistic, doesn't it?
Yeah. The environment, although, you know, I know that you're an indie-developed studio, no code, but maybe don't go too close up to your models.
The fact that they were usually in space stations or spacesuits, use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to do show faces ever. And, like, you can show them sometimes, but, like, don't let us get in close because the rigging is not the best I've seen.
Not amazing. I'm thinking of that one part when Sam is killing Jim, and you get the sense that Jim is trying to punch the AI core, but that animation is a little limp.
It's a little weedy.
Yeah. I know he's running out of oxygen, but still. He
kind of more looks like he's just kind of, like, trying to, like...
Bop it?
Pat the camera, like, back into its, like...
Shove it back
like,
into the core, maybe that'll stop it from killing you.
Something's like there's, like, a bit that's not quite aligned properly, but you don't want to break it, so you're just kind of tapping it to see if it'll just kind of pop back in where it belongs.
Yeah, it's like, that's what it kind of looked like.
Yeah. Like, you're not sure how much pressure will open this, but, like, you don't want to do too much and snap it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
some of the animations were a little rough, but again, indie studio, so of course I'm willing to give it a bigger pass. But you know.
When you had the filter on, it looked amazing.
Yeah.
And
when you're wandering around the environments, it looks great.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about, like, a while ago, where it's like that video about the difference between VHS and DVD.
Yep.
Like, some special effects look better on VHS because it's a little more grainy, and you can hide it. You can hide the strings.
Oh yeah.
But you know, when you had that filter, I'm like, sometimes when the filter was on, I'm like, is this an FMV? Like, did they get an actor in a suit to do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also the sound direction.
So good.
I am a big fan of the horrible alien grinding when you're doing the image matching.
Yes.
Oh, that's the good stuff. That's the
just the general design of this game overall, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, combining that alien sound like you're talking with, but also, like, when Sam is receiving commands and stuff and the text pops up on screen like that, so satisfying. Can't explain why.
It's got that good, like, not industrial, like...
But I get what you mean. Practical? Utilitarian?
Utilitarian, that's it.
Okay.
Where it's just, like, it's just plain. It's just text. And there's no, like, design or, like flair to it.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're an AI, the way you're interpreting it kind of gives it, like, a bit of, like, discordant nature to it, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
It's really cool, and I like that.
I like that as Sam receives commands, the text shrinks to fit the window, you know? So, like, administration will stack and then get smaller. And maybe that's just because, like, I work with text all day, every day in my 9-to-5 job. Probably. I'm just like, ooh, like an illustrator. That's probably why. But I still liked it. I was like, that's a neat touch. I don't know. I thought it was cool. There's a lot of really good... It's not too... my favorite kind of future tech is stuff that is somehow both very dated and very futuristic. basically, I think Cowboy Bebop and Alien have some of the greatest future tech of all time. And Observation kind of scratches against that.
Yeah, it does, but, like, in a way that feels... Like, like, I guess we've hit the point where it's, like... You know how in most, like, 80s, 90s sci-fi, that's, like, 20 years in the future? Mm-hmm. But, like, all the fashion is the same?
Yes.
It's like, oh, yeah, fucking acid wash jeans, those will last 30 years.
Yeah, you say that, people, but they did come back, and they are still kind of back now. So, what was somebody saying? They were talking about Akira, and they showed, like, a screenshot of, like, Kaneda and all of those guys, like, walking around, and someone's like, this is just a group of art students, okay? And I mean, like, fucking Converse just put out those really radical high tops that look like a fucking 1980s mech pilot would dress if they thought it was 2019. I'm like, the cyberpunk future sucks, but at least our clothes are cool, because I would wear all of that. So, that was a tangent, but I wanted to bring it up.
But you know what I mean? Like, you know how, like... Yeah. In Cowboy Bebop, they're still using VHS tapes because the idea of DVDs never, like, occurred to them back then.
Right.
That's what Observation feels like. It's like, yeah, it's what, 2047?
God, I think it was, like, 2046, something like that?
Yeah, it's that. So it's like, 40 years in the future, but, like, they haven't conceived of a new way of storing data beyond what we already have.
Right.
Like, laptops are still just kind of, like, utilitarian.
And yeah, really, laptops are already kind of not a thing.
Yeah. There are a lot of laptops around that station, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's realistic or if that's just your way of, like, putting in... Because you can't put in, like, cassette tapes.
And and you can't... I guess it's, like, the version of a...
Because, like, well, I guess...
tape.
Yeah, well, and I guess, like, no, I guess that makes sense because, like, at, like, the stuff I do IT for, it's like, yeah, we have just stations of laptops, and it's anyone logs into their account, their network account, and it shows their desktop. I guess it makes sense,
too, because you're on a space station, so it's not like you really, like, it's not really convenient to carry paper everywhere. Mm-hmm. So you just keep it pinned to walls and stuff.
Yeah, but it's also just, like...
It's a lot of computers.
The only big advancement is the quantum broadcast, so that they can have direct communication. Mm-hmm. But everything else feels, generally like, oh, this is the same level of tech we have now, just upgraded to be future space. Mm-hmm. They're still using what looks like a printed out map in that one like navigation portion.
Yeah, it's like, don't you think there'd be a tablet for that?
And that, okay, so that puzzle is the one that I'd like had to look up because it's like, find the station. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There's no distinct markers on this map at all.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So I had to look up the general area for that one.
Yeah, there are a few where it's like, how did you expect me to figure this out? And I mean, I eventually did, but a few times the puzzles were just like, they felt more complex than they needed to be. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean.
More like the game expected you to kind of know what it meant.
Yeah. Overworked, is that the kind of the idea I'm thinking of? Is like when you overwork a painting, Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it. Or because like you are working on it so much that it's obvious to you.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
But you forget that like people playing it for the first time haven't had, a year of working on this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. But for the most part, it all kind of jived with me. But every now and then, it's just kind of like, how am I supposed to know this game? This is too much. This is too
I'm not an
steps.
Astronaut.
I'm not an astronaut. I'm just an asshole with a desktop that sometimes is like chugging to run this video game because it really, really needs a new hard drive.
I don't even know how my phone works, and you're expecting me to find a rescue station on this map of the galaxy?
Ben, you work in IT. You should know how this works. Okay? All computer people know everything about all computers, right? That's
Computers
how it works.
is the same.
Computers is the same, Ben. You should know how to work a space station.
What's the trope called? The omnidisciplinary scientist, where it's
Yeah.
like anyone who has like a PhD just knows everything about everything.
Yeah, of course. That's you with computers. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what else is on your notes?
Let me take a quick look. Let's see. So yeah, I guess like the big one, and props to you guys, do this more. There was no big twist that ruined the narrative. I know we kind of beat on that like early on with Stories Untold, but it's like, hey, no, you guys learned your lesson really hard.
They extremely committed to the bit. I'm so proud of them. They actually just were like, this is a story about an omniscient, unknowable, barely comprehensible, menacing hexagon. And it's gonna do weird stuff to a space station. And at no point did anybody wake up and realize it was all a dream.
And that's good. That's really good. And they didn't just in general have a bad twist, you know?
Right, the twist was good.
This is the kind of thing where like, and it wasn't even really like a twist. Like, I guess halfway through, the idea of it being like a multiverse and dimensional shenanigans is kind of a...
There's two kind of twists. There's the multiverse twist, and then there's the more like human one where it's like the captain keeps saying that Josh is the one who went crazy, but really it's Jim is the one who went crazy, you know? Mm-hmm. That is kind of the twist as well when you're having that conversation with Josh and you just realize like, oh shit, I left Emma alone with this crazy person, and we have got to get off this ship now. And then suddenly, bam, there's Jim, and he's gonna leave Josh to die, and oh fuck, you know, That's the other twist. And then the whole Emma dying in big finger quotes.
Yeah.
But that's more of just like an emotional like oh fuck moment. It's different. But yeah, no, there was no like big stupid twist.
There wasn't like a thing where like you learn the aliens' whole plan.
Oh, thank God.
And there is a level of ambiguity that works, and you have to hit that middle ground. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't say nothing. You have to say at least something to give us to kind of go off on and speculate, you know?
Yes.
Like I said, you can't just end the game with Emma lifting into the ground. That's not satisfying. We don't know what happens. Like, we don't have any idea what happens next. What was their idea? What was their goal? Who are these things?
Right.
You have to answer at least one question.
You have to at least give us an answer to one of those, and the answer they give us is their goal, which is bring them. And Emma wakes up on Earth, and she's merged with Sam, and she has weird goo powers, and the thing tells them to bring them, and it's like, cut to black. That's all you need. That's all you need.
That's literally all you need, and anything else beyond that would be extraneous, you know?
Yep.
So what this tells me is that this dev, they are good at fun, dynamic, interactive puzzles.
Yes.
They are good at telling compelling stories with satisfying conclusions. Mm-hmm. Which means they need to, like Emma and Sam, merge these two things together and make an anthology game.
I would love a true anthology game. And a big one. I mean, I would not mind a longer game from these. And even the idea of an anthology game that does intersect in some way. I'm not opposed to the concept, although, I mean, a true anthology is the best way to go, where none of these stories connect at all. Mm-hmm. But that's rare. But I don't mind the idea of an anthology game that does have, like, overlap points, but...
Like thematic overlapping, you know?
Yeah, and even just like total as an example, even just the idea of maybe briefly encountering a character from the first story in the third story. Like, I'm okay with that, to even say like, oh, this is all happening in the same universe. Just as long as the twist is not, hey, it was all a dream. You know? That's all I ask.
These no code, this studio is so they have like earned back the respect that they kind of didn't have after Stories Untold.
Yeah.
By proving that they do have the chops to actually write a really, really compelling sci-fi thriller. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Twilight Zone is their, like, the bullseye they need to hit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If they can make just Twilight Zone the game and take everything they built with Stories Untold and with Observation, they can make one of my fucking Game of the Year contenders.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they are so close to making like an actual classic because they have such a good they have great ideas and occasionally just kind of stumble on certain aspects of execution. Less so in Observation than in Stories Untold.
Oh yeah.
And I think they're getting there. I just think like one more title. Either I'm not opposed to the idea of an anthology. I'm also not opposed to the idea of a longer game, of an actual maybe not full length title, but a 12 to 15 hour title instead of the what do you think? Like 4 or 5 hours that Observation is? 6 hours?
Yeah, 5 to 6. 5 to 6, even up to 7 if you are like us and you get lost a little bit.
Putts.
Yeah, it's funny because there's that bit near the end where Emma channels the video game itself.
Yeah.
And says, "You are at the last point of no return. Go finish up your whatever you need to.
Go read all the laptops you want to go read."
Yeah, and it's like, you think I'm gonna fucking fly around this thing and read laptops? Are you kidding me? Let's go.
No, let's do this. I'm ready to see how this story wraps up.
There's no side quests in here. Let's go.
No, we are here to see how this story ends, baby. It's you and me, girl. We are in it to win it. We are gonna ride this torpedo all the way to hell. Yeah. But I would like to see either an anthology game, like a true anthology game, where each one is like 5 hours a piece, or one long story that's 15 hours long.
Yeah. And, I want to make it clear again, like, the missteps I talked about earlier they're mostly nitpicks, like the navigation thing, and also just, like, I just want more video game. Like,
yeah,
there was enough video game to make me, compelled and interested, but, man, you guys were really good at puzzles and Stories Untold, and I just want more puzzles.
I want more video game. I like your video games a lot, and I'd like to pay you for more. Thank you.
So like that's like the best criticism I can give is like, you gave me a really good game. I want more of this game. You cram more game into it.
Put more video game in your video game. Thank you. Because I
like
enjoyed
garlic.
It a lot.
You can't have enough.
Just keep adding more video games.
Is this enough garlic? No, you didn't even look. It's never enough garlic.
Oh yeah, please more. I mean, overall though, Stories Untold is just Stories Untold. Fuck the other one, Observation. I'm tired. It's just fantastic. So can't possibly recommend enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those games that you finish and then you think about the rest of the day. You're like, fuck. Mm-hmm. Fuck, that was so good.
I love that ending so much. Just everything about that ending is so like solid, man.
You think about that bring them message, and you think about walking around the planet's surface, the weird alien planet, then you see the ones that almost made it. And God,
it's so good. It's so good to me because it's just like, it is the ideal kind of like it is so hard to nail the idea of like a dun 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 ending without it feeling cheap.
Right.
Because you could just cut to black, and a lot of worse movies and games do that. But just for my final let's make a movie reference, much like Inception, which has a ambiguous cut to black ending that I love, and if you don't like the end of Inception, you're wrong. Sorry. I think Observation nails this same concept of being like, here is your ending. We've explained everything that needs explaining and nothing more. We're going to give you just enough information to sate your curiosity, but still have you think about it later. Like, that is the ideal kind of stinger ending, or ambiguous ending, where they're not giving you everything, but they're giving you enough. And from there, you are just left to puzzle out the pieces. And I love it.
And they're never going to come back to this.
Oh, you'll never. That's perfect. No, I would never want them to.
You'll never get an answer, and you shouldn't. They shouldn't, because
it's perfect.
That's the idea, is that, you know, you want a story to make you think, to make you, like, understand, and kind of work out a conclusion on your own. Like, and then everyone's conclusion is valid, and then you can discuss it,
But it's not like a cheap, oh, we're leaving it up to your interpretation, kind of everybody's ending is valid. You know? Like, you can do that and it can be cheap, but it's not cheap with observation.
No, it's exactly the kind of ending that you want for this kind of setup story.
Yeah.
And it's so hard, it's so easy to miss.
Oh, because it's so easy to miss the mark.
If you cut off early or you cut off too late, then you blow it. Yeah,
absolutely. Cloverfield Paradox also blew it, so that's exactly what I'm talking about, is you can fuck it up at the end. But hey, they didn't fuck it up with 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is also a weird movie about interdimensional monsters. So yeah, it's so easy to get it wrong, but if you get it right, it'll kind of stick with you. It'll stick in your craw for at least a few days, and that's what you want. So yeah, cannot possibly recommend Observation enough, and also for you to go watch Arrival. Can I plug Arrival one more time? I literally thought about Arrival the whole time I was watching this movie, or watching this
playing this game,
playing this video game. Yeah, if you want, like, for real, if you liked how Observation went, and you want, like, another story that's about interacting with aliens that are, like, way beyond your scope of comprehension, and it has, like a weird mood, and is kind of a love story, but also has, like, a way different tone than Observation, but you still kind of want that same idea of non-hostile alien. That's the other thing. The aliens aren't hostile in this game necessarily. Like, everything bad that happens is a result of people.
Mm-hmm. They're not directly hostile. They don't actually attack anyone.
They're just kind of ominous.
Yeah, and that's really, really, really good. The whole one of the scariest bits in the game is the hexagon broadcasting shapes and Sam responds to them.
Yep. But
that's communication.
That's just communicating with something you don't understand. That's scary on, like, a more existential level, because you don't really know what you're saying back to this thing, but that's just ominous, and that's what makes it scary. It's not necessarily that it's like a big evil monster. It's just something you don't understand, and that is probably more scary in most ways than, like, an actual big evil monster. And there's a lot of that in Arrival too, so that's my last plug for Arrival tonight, I swear. I think it's a really good movie. It might be one of my favorites now that I'm, like, thinking about it more. So yeah, if you liked Arrival, you should play Observation, and if you liked Observation, you should watch Arrival. Yeah, there you go.
That's a good way to recommend things.
Yeah. I like this game a lot. I'll probably replay it soon, just so I can, like, chew on the themes some more.
Yeah, and maybe go find some more laptops that you might have missed and stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of areas that I don't think I ever went to.
Oh god, there's a lot of space in this space station.
Yeah.
So I want to explore it more when I'm not playing Bloodstained, because that's what's next. Anyways, are we good?
I think we're good.
Yay!
This is definitely a good one, and this is definitely a fun one to discuss too.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, thank you, Broke for Refuse, for background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Discord now. You can join that and talk to us about stuff. Talk about streaming and games and general stuff and what you liked about the podcast and all that.
You can call us idiots if you want.
Yeah, again, our coffee is ko-fi.com/thegorge.
Cool.
And if you want to listen to Sara play other games that are not video games, you can listen to her other podcast.
Hey, I'm in another podcast where I don't reference sci-fi movies constantly. Called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. Right now we are playing Blades in the Dark, which might be, at this point, my favorite game we've ever played on the podcast. I cannot possibly recommend you join us now while this block is ongoing. It's really easy to get caught up with Blades in the Dark because I think there's only like 10 episodes before the current block, maybe a little bit more, but it's a really easy block to get caught up on. I love the system. It's a system based around the concept of games like Thief and Dishonored and stuff like that, like with heists and set in kind of an 1800s-ish setting. I love it. I'm having a great time with it. Everybody in the party is doing a weird voice. We have a lot of fun, so you should definitely come check us out. We're at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud. You can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks!
I also want to say that, like, as someone who is trying to catch up on a lot of your stuff, the numbering system that you guys use is great.
Oh, good!
And it's very efficient and easy for me to track, like, what I need to listen to.
Oh, that's actually excellent news. I'll tell Owen that, because he'll probably be delighted to hear that. We number it so you can keep track of, because we play lots of different systems. Just to get off on a small tangent, we play lots of different systems where we usually will stick to like one system for 6 months to 6 to 8 months, and then we'll move on to another. With the occasional one shot to kind of break up a block if we're kind of getting tired of things. But we keep everything numbered. We keep it all very well organized. So if there's a system you particularly enjoy listening to, you can easily find everything in a playlist, and it's smooth as butter. So you should come check us out. Like I said, Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud. Yeah. We also have a Discord, so you can hit us up there.
Yeah. So that'll do it for us. What do you got for this one?
Oh, fuck motion sickness. I've never gotten literally my whole life. I think I've gotten motion sickness once in my entire life when I was reading the book in the back of a bus. And that was it. I've literally never experienced it since then. So it was extremely bizarre. And I have friends who get motion sick while playing first-person shooters, so they can't, which just sounds like a nightmare to me because I play so many first-person games. Oh my god. So I've never experienced it before in my life, and now I'm playing observation. I'm getting like tossed and turned around. I don't know which way is up. The room is crooked. I'm lost. It's spooky. All the lights are off. I'm just a small eyeball floating in space.
You're literally that meme going around that's like, just found out about motion sickness. That shit sucks.
Yeah, that's me. I just found out about it. I fucking hate it. So fuck motion sickness. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.